Good morning, KIDO listeners right here in the Treasure Valley. This is the Great Idaho Show every week, Sunday at 11 a.m. Currently, the Great Idaho Show. This is me, Dylan Stalker, your multi-generational Idahoan that is getting involved in Idaho because I love it and I love radio. I am terrible at radio, but I love Idaho, and we always bring a great Idaho guest. Today, we have a great Idaho guest, Lynn Bratescu. Today, we are actually recording this conversation the day after the November 4th election, and what's transpiring out there in Idaho, or what is not transpiring. Before we get to Lynn, don't forget Old Arms of Idaho. They are your ambassadors to America's heritage, the collectible firearms specialist, but not just firearms, Western items, military items, swords, knives, bayonets. Give them a call. They will take care of you. oldarmsofidaho.com. And now we have Lynn Bratescu. Welcome to the program, Lynn.
Thank you very much for having me today. I'm a little worn out from last night, but I'm ready to go.
You're just going.
Yeah, that's right. I'm living the dream.
I'm very thankful to have you today. You and I met recently at the flag protest.
Yes, it was the day that the city council approved the official flag. They made the pride flag an official flag of the city of Boise.
Certainly
Yes.
flags that represent only few, but that's a civics conversation. Through this interview, I have a deep interest in what's happening in Idaho. Lynn clearly has a deep interest in what's happening in Idaho, and we have more than just the fact that she ran for the District 6 City Council here recently yesterday. And there's some things transpiring about it. But before we get into that, this is a very valid interview for all of your listening. Stick through the segments. We'll get into what's happening here. But Lynn, would you share just a little bit about you? How did you get here? You've been more than involved in just a city council race.
That's right. I moved here 23 years ago from California. I saw the handwriting on the wall in California. I lived in Marin County, and I said to my daughter, we got to go. Let's go somewhere else. And so I had some tenants that had moved back to Idaho. They were natives, and I came to visit them, and they drove through the north end, and I said, oh my gosh, this is so stinking cute.
Isn't it wonderful?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I wound up moving up here with my daughter, my son-in-law, and my grandson. Well, they moved to Eagle. I'm in the heart of the north end.
Sure.
And I really thought I was moving to Mayberry. It looked just like Mayberry to me. I thought that I'd see Beaver Cleaver coming out of somebody's house, and people riding their bikes with a little basket, the little dog in the basket. And I'm like, I have a tiny little bungalow in the north end on a corner lot, and I love to garden. So it was so perfect for about 6 months.
It's all about the gee whiz and golly stuff there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I started seeing things I didn't like, and I'm like, wait a minute. I thought I was moving to Mayberry, but to me it seems like it's turning into Escape from New York. So I got involved. Started going to, I got involved in historic preservation at the beginning because a lot of the older homes were being torn down in the north end, and I didn't like that at all. So that's a whole process. If it's a non-contributing home, they can tear it down and build a mega mansion. And I didn't like that, how that was changing the neighborhood. So I started going to a lot of meetings, and then I started listening to city council, and then I decided that I should get involved with the party. So I became a PC committee woman.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you've certainly been at it for a little bit. Now, I'm going to my references. You and I don't know each other greatly, but you've also engaged in some other nonprofits, or?
Yes. I started a nonprofit called 100 ADA,
Okay.
and it's a giving circle, and we have an event once a year where we invite 5 little nonprofits to come and present their story. It's a 2-hour, it's very fast-paced. It's a 2-hour event. We eat and drink for the first hour, meet the nonprofits. They have a table set up, and then they get up in front of the audience and they give their elevator speech for 4 minutes.
Cool.
We have a ballot on the table. Everyone votes. We count the votes. We run in the back room. We come out and we give them a big check, and it's usually about $20,000.
I love that. That's just getting involved.
It is. It was some friends of mine actually did it. It's called a giving circle. It's not a new concept. They do it at churches too. But this way, everybody almost everybody has extra $100.
Sure.
And there's no raffle, there's no baskets, there's no silent auction, live auction. You come, you eat and drink, you meet these nonprofits that you'd never known about. And these nonprofits don't have the wherewithal or the funds to be able to put on a gala. So they're very appreciative that they can get in front of around 200 people.
Sure.
And then they wind up getting volunteers and their word out there, and people find out who they are, and it's so much fun.
It's like many businesses out there. You could be the greatest belt maker in the world, but that doesn't mean you know how to market your belts and let the world know that you have the greatest thing ever. And if my references are correct, you've raised almost $200,000 for charity, which we got to get out. We got to do more.
Exactly. So we've raised money for Jesse Tree, for Catch, for the Jaden DeLuca Foundation, for Canine Companions. And the last one we did was Fly to Fly, which helps men with cancer, recovering from cancer.
Yeah.
And they take these men fly fishing. So it's really a lot of fun. And like I said, they get to be in front of 200 people that don't know anything about them, spread the word, and everybody walks away going, wow, I did something good and I got a good meal, because we provide the food and the drink, and it's $100. And so you pay before you even get to the event, so you don't feel like you have to. And most people give more, actually.
Yeah, I mean that's. Yeah. I struggle so hard with governmental philanthropy. It's just like, if we just let the free people be free. It's like right now we have the SNAP concern transpiring, and there's plenty of people out there filling in the gaps when SNAP wasn't there. Well, if SNAP wasn't there, there would be plenty of people filling in the need. If we can just get back to, ladies and gentlemen, focus on some character traits. Let's not lie. Let's not steal. Even if we're struggling, we can still be good people and be helped by good people.
Right. Absolutely.
And
there's a lot of apples out there right now.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. There's a lot of apples. So what else would you like to share in this a little bit about Lynn segment?
I lived in Mexico for 12 years.
Okay.
So I was a hippie. I'm an old hippie that turned into a very conservative Republican. So I don't know, you evolve in your life.
Sure.
So I was young, and I took my daughter to Mexico. She was a baby. I was going for 6 months. I rented my house out for 6 months, got the rent in advance. I remember fanny packs. I had a fanny pack filled with American Express traveler's checks, went to Mazatlan, Mexico, and wound up staying for 12 years.
Oh, my goodness.
So that was quite an adventure. And so I speak Spanish, and I love my Hispanic friends and family, and still have friends down there. And it was a great experience. But that country has also gone, the wrong way, in my opinion.
Well, I've spent a little bit of time in Mexico, and trust me, if you're traveling between metropolitan areas and you're out there in Mexico and the gringo gets caught up by the federales, trust me, you have no rights when it comes to the federales.
And the federales may not even be federales.
True, right? They could be dressed up.
They could be narcotraficantes.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yes.
I love that you share that there are multiple concepts and perspectives, right? The general motivation of the quote-unquote hippie, if you will, live free, love, like, man, it's wonderful, right?
Right. It was.
And there's just, where does the transition come in?
I don't know. The funny thing is, when I lived in Mexico, I could not work. They don't allow foreigners to work in Mexico.
Sure.
And I had to take myself and my daughter and my car out of the country every 6 months and get a new visa.
Oh, my goodness.
So I had to drive to the border and come back in, and I couldn't work. And I ask people, I go, have you ever been to a resort? And they go, oh, yeah. And I go, how many Americans do you see working in the resort? And they go, like, oh, none. I'm going to go, right. So, and then I did write for a newspaper down there. I had a Sunday column. It came out in this newspaper. It was English Language Daily, called The News. And so they had a reporter in every Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan,
it's kind of the tourist towns. Yeah.
And they would have, so they found me somehow, and I wrote an article about no water. They were building all these hotels, and the people that live in the colonias out in the neighborhoods, they didn't have any water, so they were going to a pump in the middle of the little area, and they were pumping water putting it in a bucket to take back to their house. Now, this wouldn't be drinking water. This would be for laundry or washing the floor or whatever. So I wrote this article about it, that they needed to plan better for infrastructure. And the next thing I know, I have the mayor knocking on my door.
Oh, my goodness.
He's like, Lynn, por favor, no sigas escribiendo. Don't stop writing. And I said, nope, still going to do it. Too bad. So I think I've been an activist for a really long time, for the little guy.
Well, it's funny that you talk about that whole water scenario. That
Yeah.
we are living right here in Idaho.
Exactly.
I don't think a lot of people realize that there are many developments that are approved by different commissions and planning and zoning that do not even really communicate with the Idaho Department of Water Resources or their district water master for groundwater usage. But I've been involved in that a little bit too.
Yeah.
Idaho is a wonderful place, and it was wonderful for a reason. And it all was built on character, ladies and gentlemen, a slight bit of respect, and, being more professional, I guess, as far as how we're going to lead in politics and things like that, which I think to me leads us right into that next conversation about Boise, Idaho, and you had running for District 6 and what transpired this last evening. Let's talk about it a little bit. This is Dylan Stalker, The Great Idaho Show. We'll be right back with Lynn Bratescu. And don't forget, we have a sponsor, folks, Old Arms of Idaho. They are the collectible firearms, Western, and military specialists. We'll be right back with Lynn Bratescu. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. KIDO, 580 KIDO, as the great Kevin Miller would say. This is Dylan Stalker, The Great Idaho Show. Multi-generational Idahoan sharing what's great about Idaho, but maybe in this case, what's not great about Idaho and some things that transpired in the election on November 4th. Again, you're listening to this on November 23rd, as this is a recorded call, but this is a conversation between Lynn Bratescu and myself the day after the election when she ran for Boise City Council. Lynn, what would you have to say?
I would say we ran a great race. We are very disappointed that we did not prevail. However, we're not giving up. And
Never give up?
We never give up, no. And we need to get more people involved and to care about what's happening, because if you don't vote, you can't complain. And I get
100%.
phone calls from people every single day, because evidently I'm kind of like backing up a little bit. In 2020, I tried to recall the mayor.
Okay.
So let's start with that.
Sure.
She got elected. The minute she announced, my spidey senses said, ooh, no.
Give us the basis for that recall.
Well, it was her manifesto that came out right after she was in office that said they wanted to provide free abortion, sex education for 2-year-olds, and a lot of other ugly
weird
things. And there was a whole group of us that said, oh, no, let's recall her. And it seemed like a good idea at the time. I didn't know a lot about recalls. I found out since then that they're incredibly difficult.
Sure.
And the politicians make it that way so that they can't be recalled. Otherwise, we'd probably have a lot less politicians. And then COVID hit, and we managed to get about 15,000 signatures. We needed 26,000. So we didn't make the mark, and I've just liked her ever since. And she's proven me absolutely right in my spidey senses, the way she runs the city. We have 2,133 employees currently. I don't know what they're all doing. I'm sure there's some good ones.
Yeah.
However, we have 63 lawyers, and there's 11 new ones since last year. The budget is out of control. The property taxes are going to estimated to go up 7.6%. We have this levy that passed last night. Who doesn't love open space? We love Idaho. That's what we love about it. We love our water. We love our open space. We love our mountains, rivers, streams, etc. However, they didn't even identify it's an open space water levy. Where is it? Is it in a bank account? Is it on a map? Did you point it out?
Well,
this is like, wait a minute. if I go to the grocery store and they say, here, give me $50, and I go, what do I get? Oh, we'll decide later.
But so there's so many things to unpack in what goes on in Boise and things like that. But you had made a comment on the Kevin Miller show that it's like, you know what, we do have Legacy Idaho. Legacy Idaho is being left in the dust. And we do have the people that are on the fixed income that, as your comment was, you know, an extra $40 here, an extra $40 there. We in life are getting feed out of life. I relate to that because I have a client of mine who worked for Idaho Fish and Game for 30 plus years, retired 5 years ago. The most she ever made was $27 or $30 an hour. Her entire retirement livelihood is built on an economy that existed 10 or 20 years ago. Mm-hmm. And now she just to hold on to her house. And it's like, you know, it's as if Lauren McLean's just like, yeah, well, so sorry. You know?
Exactly. And I say to some of these, I mean, as I was out campaigning in Northwest Boise, I was hearing it over and over and over again that the city council and the city council members had never approached them, had never visited them, had never even spoken to them. So they feel completely left out of the process. And they said, you know, we love open space, but why are we paying for it? And where does it stop? And $40, you know, I can't, this is not sustainable, especially with 7.6 increase in property taxes and the Boise School District adding 18%. So we haven't even seen our tax bills, which were coming out in November, as you know. That's when the property tax bill comes out. Interestingly enough, they come out after an election. I think we need to change that at the legislature. I would like to see my tax bill in before an election, and be able to hold these politicians their feet to the fire. Why are you raising our property taxes? And I have an idea that I told Kevin. I believe that if you want to pay for the levy, which seemed to be very popular, I think it passed with about 80%, just check a little box on your property tax bill that says, this is what we calculate the increase would be on your taxes per your assessed value. Yeah. And you just check the box and it says, yes, I'll pay it.
So that's very pragmatic. That's a very
absolutely. That's
like the state parks and rec sticker for your vehicle registration. Look, you want to go save $5 in parking or support that. That's because I relate so well. I live across the street from a park that I love and I'm very thankful for it. Am I to be held to pay for all the others across the city? And maybe that's a selfish attitude, but when it comes to Legacy Idaho and the property tax, which you've got people in legislatures saying, we've lowered the property tax. Show me anyone's bill that's got less in the past 10 years. You can say you've lowered the concept of the tax, but it's not transpiring. But going back to the parks, how do we have the Catherine Albertson Park? How do we have the Julia Davis Park? It was donated.
Correct.
Because we empowered successful business.
The Marianne Williams Park donated by Larry and Marianne Williams.
Thank you. Exactly. Right? That's how a beautiful city grows. Yeah. It doesn't get elbow forced by the vision of a singular mayor or what have you.
Right. And when these people tell me that they're going to be taxed right out of their homes, glibly I said, oh, but don't worry, you can go downtown to one of those affordable apartments that the mayor is building. And is that the point? Do they want them to be forced out of their houses? Because once you sell a house, the assessed value usually goes up, especially if you've been in your house for 40 or 50 years,
Absolutely,
right? So that house gets assessed at more money, so that's more property tax money for the city. And then the senior citizen has to go live in a shoebox downtown in affordable housing. And I also serve on the City of Boise Ada County Housing Authority. Okay. So we
have a good perspective.
We manage all of the Section 8 housing vouchers. And it's out of control. They are not thinking about the little guy. They are not thinking about the little guy at all, even though someone says it's a city for everyone.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it's a city for everyone. I feel like it's a city for a very few elite group. I'm not in that group.
I couldn't agree more. And there's some evidence of that. You know, number one, the flag issue is a very super simple concept. If you are going to be the leader of a community that functions out of a building that taxes all, then you should utilize a symbol that represents all. It is basic professionalism, civics. Lord McLean, whatever flag you want to fly on your home, fly it. But that building represents everybody. And you have employees that are going into your building working for you that may not believe that, and dare they speak up about it.
That's right.
Because you are clearly not seeing the idea of basic civics, professionalism, and the true representation. It is extremely divisive.
It is. And it's going to be brought up in the legislature in January. And I believe that there's going to be some serious consequences for the city. So, you know what they say.
Well, and so what's so sad about it is that is a powerful thing for her, like, because it's a war, right? It's a war. There is a war, and it's in our town. We're about to get to this next segment where we can highlight things where she went after the Boise Police Department based off of one single account, spent over $500,000 and came up with
$600,000.
Nothing.
That's correct.
Came up with nothing. Excuse me. The concept of leadership is just because they're on your team, it's okay. This is about any way that you can versus any way that you should. Politics, and I believe that Lynn Bratescu represents in any way that you should be. This is Dylan Stalker, the Great Idaho Show. Idaho is great. I love it. I love radio. Gosh dang it, that's why I'm here. But I'm terrible at it, so bear with us. We'll be back in this next segment talking about some of those other tremendously divisive things and why Lynn Bratescu is out there running and doing things and why I'm doing this radio show. Don't forget about Old Arms of Idaho. You know it? It's my business. It's not like I get paid by a sponsor. I get paid by you knowing that we are collectible firearms, Western, and military experts. oldarmsofidaho.com. We'll be right back. KIDO. It's Sunday. It's the 23rd. This is the Great Idaho Show. This is Dylan Stalker, your multi-generational Idahoan that cares about the nature of Idaho and how and why you all got here. You're here. But should we change it dramatically? That's what's happening. And there's a lot of people out there that care about it or say that they do, but they didn't go out and vote yesterday. And right here in Boise, Idaho, you have an opportunity to guide a beautiful city to growing that includes all, or just empower a tremendously divisive mayor. We have Lynn Bratescu with us, who recently ran for District 6. Lynn, we're getting back into the Boise conversation. Let's highlight some of these very simple things that seem so obvious. It's about governance, isn't it?
It is about governors. And let's bring up the Interfaith Sanctuary relocation to State Street.
So that one's important to me because I have a very good, highly respectable individual that lives in that neighborhood that's fighting it. And I couldn't think of a more intelligent, wonderful person, which I won't say his name, but maybe after the show. But I know a little bit about that too. Tell me more.
So I'm a big fan of the Boise Rescue Mission. I adore indeed. Reverend Roscoe, and recently they just gave me an award at a luncheon. I was so humbled and surprised, but that's a program that works.
For sure.
And
there's accountability in that program.
And like I said, I have this other nonprofit. We've given money to Jesse Tree and Catch, and so when people say, "Oh, she doesn't care about the marginalized community," that is just a bunch of hooey.
Sure.
So I do care about the marginalized community, and the community that is going to be living around a 250-bed homeless shelter is also marginalized.
Yeah, Legacy, Idaho is getting marginalized.
Exactly.
Thank you.
And why did they pick that location? Because they could. It didn't go next door to the mayor's house. And then Jimmy had the audacity to say, "You people just don't know anything about homeless people. I've been around them all my life. You just have to get to know them. And I'm not afraid of them, so why should you be?" Well, Jimmy, you're 6'4", and you're a dude. So maybe a woman walking down the Greenbelt at 5 o'clock at night and seeing, a scantily dressed man that's maybe on drugs or
Scantily dressed in a dress and a man and being on drugs.
Because scantily, I mean, one of my friends was going down the Greenbelt, and the guy was in the water, and he jumped out of the water completely naked.
Yeah.
She was on her bike. So the neighbors down there are very, very upset. I'm very upset. Katie Decker has done an amazing job. She's the president of the Veterans Park Neighborhood Association. They litigated it. It went to the Supreme Court. I mean, this has been going on for 5 years. So it's a long, drawn-out process. Supreme Court ruled that planning and zoning should never have given them the permit. Planning and zoning didn't give them the permit in the beginning, and then the Interfaith Sanctuary appealed it to the city of Boise, and they overturned the planning and zoning and gave them the conditional use permit, and then they sued. Veterans Park sued. It went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said yes, they should have upheld the planning and zoning decision.
Sure.
So now it was about 3 weeks ago. It went back to City Council for the conditional use permit, and it was an 8-hour ordeal. I was watching it on Zoom from 2 o'clock in the afternoon till midnight.
Really?
Yep. And they all passed it, approved it, except for Lucy Willits, who didn't vote for it in the first place. And they just went on. I mean, it was obvious to me after watching it. They all had their minds made up ahead of time. It was a done deal.
But it's like we've come this far.
Right,
we can't start over. We have no choice but to futilely battle this.
Right.
And isn't part of governance about the acceptance of the community that lives within it? And there's clearly an objective, and no offense, maybe offense, Interfaith Sanctuary, what was transpiring a few years ago right up there off of the connector there.
Yes.
And it's a reestablishment of Portland. I'm not going to make some claim that I have all the great and wonderful solution to homelessness. Mm-hmm. But as you point out, Reverend Bill Roscoe of the Boise Rescue Mission, there is accountability in that system, and the enablement of homelessness clearly doesn't work, and that the interfaith way is a Portland kind of a way, if you ask me.
Well, low barrier shelters have been proven time and time again not to work. There's no rules. There's and these people, they say that they're going to be able to live in there for up to over a year and a half. I had so many questions. Like, one of my questions was that no one had an answer to. So they say that now they're going to have this sign up. You have to sign up by 5 o'clock online. Because
most people have an online access.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So
they sign up, they get accepted, they check in. I don't believe they're locked in there. I think that would be unconstitutional.
So
for sure. What happens when a guy wants to get out at 10 o'clock at night because he says, I got to get out of here. I'm, having an episode. I need fresh air, whatever. And they say, you're leaving. You can leave, but you can't come back in. You can't come in and out.
Sure.
I believe that is a rule. So where do they go at 10 o'clock at night? Are they wandering around the neighborhood? Are they going to wind up in your carport, in the back of your car? I don't know. So it's a bad location. It should never have been approved. They can talk about how many bathrooms they have now. Jody Peterson says it's got 56 toilets. Yay. I'm against it. I hope it goes back to the Supreme Court, and I will be supporting Katie Decker in that effort. I think we need to raise money for the lawsuit. And Brian Ertz is an amazing lawyer. And that night he was online and said, oh, yeah, you're going to see me again.
So dare the question from me. I support your mission too. I'm a super fan of everybody that I talk to, just so you know. I'm not a journalist. Mm-hmm. I'm an Idahoan. I care about Idaho. I'm very one-sided. So as you're listening, okay? But Lynn, if I were a journalist, I would ask, where does this thing go? What happens to it?
It has to go someplace else, and I believe that they should have bought the Red Lion Hotel. They're already spending $1.8 million a year.
But there's a college down there. We can't mix this up with college kids, you know. What are we going to do with those kids?
They have 2 blocks away. You have New Path, where they just added 96 more units.
Yeah,
96. There's 45 already, and it's on. You know where the old upholstery shop is.
Yeah,
they kept that. They had to keep it because it's historic. So they built 96 more units. They're almost done, and right next door is the original building, which has 45, and that's for the chronically homeless.
But it's like, bottom line is there's less accountability. We're talking about low barrier homeless shelters.
Correct.
Look it up. Okay? Look up the Boise Rescue Mission right here on KIDO Radio. Kevin's Miller Mission starts November 22nd. You'd think I worked for this radio station, but I love Kevin Miller and I love the Boise Rescue Mission, and I love that mission because the Boise Rescue Mission does these things with responsibility and kindness and courage in mind for the actual soul of the person. So, a little transition, Lynn, the
Yes.
Interfaith Sanctuary, big subject. You know, I can't get over the fact that we have a mayor as a CEO, okay? Effectively, a mayor as a CEO.
Correct.
You have resources and you have missions, and you are to use those resources in an efficient way to accomplish that mission, whatever mission that may be, and it better be in the mind of all and the taxpayer, right? The taxpayer being the consumer. I can't get over the fact that we have a CEO that just, without going down to the police department themselves and inspect with their own eyes, just it's like she was running for president or something like that and just dumped $600,000 of your taxpayer.
Biden.
I swear to goodness.
Yes.
So people didn't get out and vote yesterday for you. That's where this is November 23rd. They didn't vote. Lynn, how do we connect these people to the craziness that's going on with your tax bucks?
I hope all you people that didn't vote are listening to this show, because I'm coming to your house and knocking on your door again.
Explain it to Lynn face to face.
Please explain to me why you didn't get off your tuchus and go and vote, because the people that we were approaching were our 4-4 voters, the people that voted for Donald Trump in the 2024 election.
How many did you say there were in your district?
7,600.
How many do you think voted?
Well, I got
You don't know yet.
2,600 votes.
Yeah.
And we know who you are because we have the voter rolls. And just in case you didn't know, we have all that data. So we can look up who voted in what election. And if you didn't vote this past election, it's your life, it's your community, and you should care about it.
And if you voted for Trump, I guarantee you Marin McLean doesn't care about you, whether you've lived here for 30 years. This is Dylan Stalker, The Great Idaho Show. We've got one more second. Or excuse me, I told you I was terrible at radio. You got to listen up. We've got one more segment with Lynn Bratescu. I'm so thankful for this conversation. We will be right back. And don't forget, Old Arms of Idaho, your ambassadors to America's heritage. KIDO, welcome back. This is Dylan Stalker, your multi-generational Idahoan. Once again, we're talking to Lynn Bratescu, who is well involved with Idaho in many capacities, much of which here in Boise. She is taking action, going out to run for city council in the most liberal town in all of Idaho. I mean, that's a challenge, but you know what, Lynn? You take on the challenge, and there are two kinds of people in the world, the ones that do and the ones that don't. The ones that do just did. You're didn't it. Let's focus on the future a little bit here, this final segment. All those people that didn't vote and are potentially not going to be happy with the future of Boise, how can they get involved? What are things coming up? What are things that you know of?
Well, first of all, I want everyone to know that my phone number is published on my website. I'm always available, and people have been calling me throughout this run. Now, I just want to back up a little bit. So, Mr. Halliburton was running unopposed, and I threw my hat in the ring because I said, I'm not going to let that guy run unopposed. He's ridiculous.
To not have an opposition is ridiculous.
Right, totally ridiculous. And I knew that he was very popular, and so I thought, well, I'll just run. I'll put my name on the ballot. I'll do a little bit of marketing, but I didn't really think. Because of his popularity and
I mean, he likes
it's a really
bicycles.
he loves bicycles, and he spent a month in China, learning how to get us more into a bicycle culture. Did you guys all know that he spent a month in China? And I believe he did take his city council pay while he was in China, learning about how to get us onto bicycles. So. Don't get me started. I mean, like, I live in the North End. There's nobody on a bicycle.
You're also, so yes, he was unopposed, and then say it.
And then at the last minute, Lisa Sanchez decided that she was also going to run on Friday at 4:00. We got the news that she had filed. So then it became a real horse race. So I said, bring it on. Let's turn this into a real challenge. And I assembled an amazing team within 7 days, and I assembled quite a bit of money from donors from all over the city of Boise, because I want everyone to understand that District 6, although I'm running in District 6, I would be representing all of Boise.
You could be
and
the
Boise
only
is
check.
huge.
You could be the only check.
Exactly. Well, Lucy does a pretty good job, and I would be her wingman.
Sure.
I think Lucy's less feisty than me. She's a very nice lady. I'm probably, some people would say I'm not a very nice lady, but that's okay. And
you're not getting paid to be nice in
no,
politics.
I'm not getting paid to be nice. I'm getting paid to listen to people and get results.
Yeah.
And I'm going to fight for the little guy and the person that feels left out, which is a big part of our population. We've got to stop this incessant growth for these buildings, this Soviet-style boxes that they're building all over downtown, casting shadows through our beautiful city. It's gonna. When people said, "Oh, it's gonna look like Portland," I was always thinking about looking like Portland as in homelessness. But now I realize that it's big buildings looking like Portland. We're not going to look like... They're closing off the view of the foothills that they so love so much, that they want to protect. We won't even be able to see them anymore. Maybe someday you won't even be able to walk on it.
Well, and so, again, this morning, giving... credit back to Kevin Miller. Yes, I'm a suck face for Kevin Miller. I'm on his program, thank you. But he talked to Theo Wold, who has some great comments about governance and growth and no setbacks and how, I mean, it all looks neat right now, but are we looking 20, 30 years into the future? Are we really just dumping tons of money into developer pockets so they can go support the people that they want to win? There's
absolutely.
some stuff happening here.
Why are we hiring or giving the bids to out-of-state developers?
100%.
I mean, don't we have any developers here in Idaho? We do, and it's very troublesome that all of these developers are coming in from out of state, and then they suck the money out of state because they build these big rentals. Where does the money stay here? No, it doesn't, and it's infuriating. And I want to know why. And let's stop it.
Well, so let's
talk about the up zone.
Let's do this, because I could talk to you for 6 hours on this, and we've got about 5 minutes left. But I do have a question. We were going to talk about the future, but you know what? We're talking about today, the post-election. Okay. So it has been commented by many. I have asked. I have noticed that Kevin Miller has asked. I noticed that Theo Wold has asked, and you go ask the general GOP leadership, where's the support for Boise? And they're like, well, it's just too far gone. Is that really? You have a little bit of insider knowledge. Like, is it too far gone? Where is this unified support?
It's not too far gone, and that's what I'm fighting. We have to stop saying it's too far gone. If it's too far gone, you have to manifest what you want.
I believe that.
And if you manifest it and you get the people, you have to give people hope, and you have to show results. And I am the epitome of doing something that's hard, but I'm willing to do it because I believe that Boise can be saved, because I hear from people all the time that they want change. And so those are the people that got out and voted, but we need more people to get out and vote. And maybe we need to go down to City Hall and have a protest.
Sure.
They had this big Kings rally, no Kings rally. Well, we still don't have a king. Thank God they had that rally.
I have a friend of mine that's like, no kings, how about no clowns?
Yes.
No clown rally.
Yes, I mean, it was
because we got clowns out there.
So they're feeling very emboldened. And most of us are busy working, raising a family, going to our jobs, gardening, whatever we're doing, so that we don't feel like it's... People have to feel uncomfortable before they're going to get riled up.
Sure.
And I always say, crisis precipitates change. And wait till you get your property tax bill in November. Maybe
coming.
that will be the catalyst that will get people off their tuchus to be involved.
I got to throw a thought out there about the protest thing, because I went to Charlie Kirk's final vigil out here.
Yes.
And that was very moving, many wonderful things, but we marched, okay? Mm-hmm. And there was a march. And I have to say, I was marching, and then we started chanting, and I don't want to say this, but I felt like embarrassed. I felt like I was lowering myself to the other side's level, even though we need to get out and have a say. There's people pointing and laughing at us, and I'm like, how does the conservative get through that level of embarrassment and realize that until you actually get out there and show by physical nature, don't be embarrassed. I did. I'm being honest. But, at the end of the day, we were out there getting something done.
Remember, I'm an old hippie and I've been marching around for a long time. I marched around with Martin Luther King. But that's
a good transition.
So you do it, and you're with all the people that are pretty much like-minded, and you feel good about it. Maybe it's embarrassing in the beginning, but then it gives you lots of power. You're like, wow, we do have the power. We can get our city back.
How can we do this with respect in the name of governance? Now, remember, Lord McLean, you could be the greatest Democratic mayor that ever lived, but you are focused on half or less of your constituents that pay these taxes. The flag is an example. Your attack on the police force, coming up with dead rat nothing, was an example. That is not governance. This is about responsible governance, civics, professionalism. Lynn, we've got about 2 minutes left. What would you say?
I would say, please call me and let me know how you want to get involved, and I'll give you a task. We can all do something. Time, treasure, or talent.
Get your pens out.
Yeah.
Get your pens out right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I used to say this on the Let It Go show. Get your pens out. Lynn, would you share your phone number?
208-949-7133. 208-949-7133. And I'm available all the time. And, they attacked me for being a realtor, but I really like to recycle the same old houses.
And she picks up the phone. Picks up the phone. That's a real phone number, I know, because she texted me this morning, even though I texted her the wrong phone number of myself. In closing, with about a minute left, everything we're talking about, we just finished the November 4th election. Anything else you'd like to share?
I just want you to know that there are people out there that care about the rest of you, and we want to help take our city back.
I'm right there with you, Lynn. I'll be there with you. I'm so thankful for that chance to meet you together in a protest of the city flag, because that is the most ridiculous, offensive thing, and it has nothing to do with whether you're gay or not. It has to do with governance, professionalism, and civic duty, which Lauren McLean is not doing. This is Dylan Stalker. Once again, this is the Great Idaho Show. We've just been visiting with Lynn Bratescu. If you came into part of this conversation, you'd like to hear the whole thing, go to thegreatidahoshow.com. You can listen to it 24 hours a day with no ads, by the way, except you'll have to hear that at Old Arms of Idaho thing because, I don't get paid to do this. So I got to throw something in there. That's my business. Lynn, thank you again for coming on the show.
It's been a pleasure, and I'd love to come back again.
Yeah, I would. Let's keep this story rolling. Until it's done, it's never going to be done. We must always be fighting.
Fight, fight, fight.